سلام دوستای عزیز، دیگه امروز ما و کاملا جان همدیم در برنامه انزک ده. دیگه قرار بود که هر ساله از اینجا شروع میکرد، باز چی میکرد؟ باز این دفعه برنامه رو در او طرف گرفته دیگه، به خاطر از اینکه مثال می سولجرا می اسکرا در اینجا دیگه باز ما می گل را وردی که در اینجا خلاصه در احترام از اینا بلیم. خب کامل جان توم در دوستا سلام کن.
سلام دوستای عزیز، خدا کنه خوب باشین، جور باشین. قسمی که مدی گفتک دیگه ما امروز روز 11 است. اینا که میگنین نیگول مولم بخشی از او در نام یادی خاطرات از او عزیزایی که جان خود خزدستیده بخشی از واسطه روش شاد باشه به چارگو دیگه رفتن.
خود دوستای عزیز دیگه ما یعنی گل را دیگه در احترام از یاد دیگه اینجا میلیم.
روش شاد باشه بیچاره.
آره دیگه خود دوستای عزیز دیگه ما خود زیاد در این باره معلومات ندارم. یاسمین بیا این یار مثال کسته بیگر که یعنی در نظر ممو نه میه که مو نفرا امویه که خود تو انگلیسی نمیفهمی. یعنی کسته مثال کسته چی. خب بیا یعنی اینجا یاسمین جان
این جشتم میشه نه؟ این جشتم میشه.
یعنی کسته دوستای عزیز بیرقای کشورای که در اینجا است. خلاصه کسته بیرق افغانستان نیست. خب یعنی چیز یعنی دوستای عزیز که است داستان از یا در اینجا نمیشته است دیگه. یعنی اینجا اینی رو بیا بگر یا درباره امز هلیکوپتر گفته که چی رقم تخص چی بگر سلول. خود دوستای عزیز یعنی کس هلیکوپتره دیگه داستانش در اونجا استوریش نمیشته بود چون ما او قدر انگلیسی مسیح نیه خوب نیه یعنی ما هلیکوپتره دیگه. خب یعنی اینجا بگر یعنی کس همون نفرایی که چیز هست نه در کدام سال بوده کدام تاریخش بوده نه دیگه. آره دیگه خب بیا کامل جان اینجا استش. آره اینجا استش. خود دوستای عزیز دیگه در ادامه از این برنامه کست امی برنامه انزاید را شما انزک دیر کست بیننده باشین تا او زمانه را پلیز لطفاً هم چینل از مورا اگر سابسکرایب کردین تشکر، اگر نکردین سابسکرایب کن دیگه لایک را از جا چم نره. خب کاملا جان تو در دوستا کدام گفتن یک داشته باش.
نه دیگه هم چینل از مورا از خیر سابسکرایب کن لایک کن دیگه خوش باشین جور باشین. ممکنش مونی که یک برنامه صحیح تر و بهتر جور کنی. تشکر از کلگی که مور بیننده یک دنیا.
سلام دوستای عزیز، ما امروز در انزک ده هستیم در دندناک با خود آقای مستر هیل داریم. Thank you, Mr. Hill, to join us. Thank you.
It's good to be with you. We're here today in Dandenong in Melbourne in Australia celebrating or commemorating Anzac Day. Anzac Day is a very special day in Australia. It's the day when all Australians come together to remember those people for over 100 years who fought for Australia, risked their lives, or in some cases tragically lost their lives fighting for our country in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Defence Forces over many years, but also today. There's thousands of Australians serving their country in Australia and many overseas risking their lives. So Anzac was a word that means Australian New Zealand Army Corps. It was first used in 1915, 108 years ago, to commemorate the Australians and the New Zealand soldiers who landed at Gallipoli in Turkey during the First World War. So it's a very special day, and I encourage all people who are new to Australia to come along to an Anzac Day service on April the 25th every year and learn about this important day and this important part of our national story and our history, and remember and give thanks to those who've risked or sacrificed their lives so Australians today can enjoy the peaceful democracy in which we live.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
No worries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of December. And when it ended, many young lives on both sides had been ended far too early. And many other lives were forever damaged. Yet the example of courage and determination sent a signal to all Australians, and we honour that signal today. Courage and initiative gained a foothold on those plateaus and ridges, which for the next 8 months saw epic displays of valour and endurance from both sides. There were very heavy casualties. The fighting paused only to recover the dead and the wounded. There was almost no respite from the shelling and the mining, leaving the bodies of our finest men and as little more than skeletons, held together and driven by their unyielding determination and sense of duty to their country and to their mates. Finally, it became clear that peace would come once more. The 25th of April is, for that reason, chosen to acknowledge our debt to those gallant men and women and the allies who fought beside them. Let us now pay homage to those people and to all others who have served and not returned by joining with Cass DeLacy-Borden, Jeff Gilfetti and the City of Greater Dandenong Band in our first hymn, The Recession.
There's a saying that history ignored is history repeated. We have to be sure that we don't repeat the violence and the nature of war again. Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. You give us each day our daily bread, and you forgive us our debts, and we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but you deliver us from the evil one. Because yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Thank you very much, John. It really is terrific to see so many of you here today on such a fantastic day. I've been asked today to have a quick talk about Australia's lesser-known military deployments around the world. We certainly are aware to some extent about the two world wars, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Timor and Iraq. But there have been a number of conflicts and a number of deployments that people know very little about. For instance, Korea, that was between 1950 and 63. It is now the 70th anniversary of the ending of that war. We have two Korean veterans with us today, Les and Ron, two good-looking young fellows up the front here. We owe them a lot for what they did on behalf of us. They were sent to Korea and they did well, and they did it under our name. But Korea is known as the Forgotten War. Very few people had any understanding we were sent there. But if Korea is known as the Forgotten War, there are other conflicts and other deployments that we know absolutely nothing about. For instance, Malaya and Borneo in the 50s and 60s. Those two conflicts ended in casualties for Australians. They have been totally forgotten. We should remember them, and we should thank them too. Since Malaya and Borneo, we've had deployments all around the world. We've had deployments in Lebanon, Cambodia, the Solomons, Bougainville. We've had them in Somalia and Rwanda. Sadly though, most of you here haven't heard before, but Lance Corporal Shannon McCallany, sadly for him, was the lone fatality on our deployment to Somalia. He and his mates that went there deserve to be remembered, and they deserve to be thanked for what they have done under our flag, under our name. Currently we have troops posted to the four corners of the planet. We have them in Africa, in the Middle East, we have troops in Cyprus. We have 70 troops right now training Ukrainian recruits in Great Britain so that the Ukrainians can take back their country. We also have troops in New Guinea. I have some understanding about the lesser known deployments because in 1985 I was sent to Peru in South America. It's become glaringly obvious to me on the very first night there that this was not a paid holiday. I'll just wait for that to go. Well, from what I understand, they're going to make another pass, so we'll just wait for that. Thank you. And the first night there, I realised that this was not a paid holiday. There was a terrorist attack close to where I was staying. Small arms, machine guns, grenades. There's a lot that should have been going through my head, but if I was perfectly honest, I was only thinking of one thing, and that was Spike Milligan. You weren't expecting that, were you? Spike, for those of you a little bit younger than me, was a famous comedian, but he'd also been a soldier in World War II. The reason I was thinking of Spike is because he said the first time he ever saw hostile fire, it just confirmed everything he'd ever thought about himself. And that was, in typical Spike fashion, that he was a craven coward. But what surprised him was that he had hero feet that refused to run away. I was thinking of Spike because that's exactly what was going through my mind at the time. It was just proving to me that I was that craven coward. Hang on, we'll just wait again. So again with Spike, as I said, it just proved to me everything I'd ever thought about myself too, and that was that I was a craven coward, just like Spike. But what amazed me was go.